Hello everybody, my name is Sophia Spazafumo, and my current events project is on the Silent Depression. What article caught my eye? Well, the article written by Ella Patel from The Crimson has the country entered a new Great Depression, written on January 3rd, 2023, really intrigued me for a few reasons. This article discusses drawing lines between the Great Depression and current day, talking about the impacts from COVID-19 and inflation on modern-day Americans, leading many of the younger generation to refer to this as the Silent Depression. The article covers the issues of supply chain shortages, housing expenses, food prices, and the effect it has on average people. It seems like the prices will continue to rise until they're forced to fall. Why was I drawn to this topic? Well, my mom worked for a stock trading company, and it opened my eyes to a lot as a kid. Growing up watching the private housing market become inflated due to big companies buying up one-family homes to resell, and watching the price of simple grocery staples rise truly took my hope away from me from a young age. America is no longer the land of opportunities, and people trying to start their lives are drowning in bills and debt simply for buying human necessities. It is not as bad as the Great Depression, by many means, but it's foolish to say that the cost to live in many areas in the US is affordable. How does this article correlate to American history? Well, this article helps show us the similarities between modern day and the Great Depression. The Great Depression was a devastating time in history that really impacted America and the people living in it. Families could not make ends meet, businesses were closing, communities were torn apart, and homelessness was at an all-time high. But let's get into it a little bit more. What was the Great Depression? Why did it happen? And how does it really connect with this article? The Great Depression all started on Black Thursday. It started with the catastrophic stock market crash of 1929. This led to a massive domino effect. The banks had a massive failure nationwide. The Dust Bowl was killing every single crop. The crops that did survive, farmers could barely get paid for. A quote from an article in our module says, "When millions went hungry, farmers burned their crops or left them to rot in the fields rather than sell them at prices below the cost of production," which I completely understand. Another chain was the total economic collapse. As prices fell and wages declined, people found it really hard to afford basic necessities. Business struggled to stay afloat, unemployment skyrocketed, and many people did not have jobs or a source of income. All of this relates to modern day in multiple ways. Many people say that it started because of COVID, others say it started because of Afghanistan or even the '08 crisis. Many factors have contributed, just like the Depression. For example, we still have issues with the banks, though they're not the same issues. We have extremely high interest rates from inflation that are affecting Americans like never before, increasing margin pressures on banks to make more profit, and cybersecurity is an ongoing issue. Another one that I'm sure everyone's aware of is the issue of pesticides runoff from crops. This normally happens due to rainfall, and it goes underneath the ground into our fresh water sources that are now permanently contaminated. Today, we are still having issue with our agriculture. Though not the same as it was before, local farmers are still not getting paid what they should be. Many are in debt, and they make barely any profit at all. Commercial farming has almost completely taken over. They cut corners en masse by genetically modifying and lowering the quality of our food to make it cheaper to produce it. Because of all of this, even lab-grown meat has started to come around, and we're relying on soy a lot more than we should. It's all causing a lot of health issues. The biggest connection and the biggest issue today is mass inflation. I'm sure everybody has felt this in the past years. A direct quote from the article I chose was, "Oil prices spiked after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which caused prices of many different goods to increase. The inflation rate is about 3.2% right now, meaning that prices are 3.2% higher than a year ago." To explain to you just how bad inflation has gotten, I've taken some examples. $100 in the year 2000 is worth $172 in 2024. From 2019 to 2023, food prices have risen 25%. And for context, the federal minimum wage in 2019 was $7.25 an hour and has not changed. But even if we do change it, inflation will rise due to it. Rent has gone up 30.4% from 2019 to 2023. People cannot keep up. We cannot afford necessities, it feels like. We're simply stuck in a state of permanent renting and living check to check. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I'd love to know what everyone thinks. If you disagree, if you agree, or even if you have more similarities to contrast and compare.